What up, B Squad? It is your boy JB, and I am here today, you guys, with a brand new review for Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 6, you guys, episode number 18. And this episode is titled Melody versus Marsau, Round 5, you guys. So, before I just go ahead and jump into this review, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel, and you guys aren't subscribed yet, then I need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. You can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning on your post notifications, and sharing the video, you guys. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let us go ahead and discuss Love and Marriage Huntsville, shall we? All right, you guys, so I honestly don't expect for this review to be like super duper long, because for me, the episode didn't give like a lot. But yeah, we'll discuss it nonetheless. And because I didn't talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville last week, and so I said let's do it this week, right? So this episode, it opens up with the ladies at Tiffany's party where they're supposed to be meeting baby Ace, right? The baby reveal. Now I will say, and this is not to come off any kind of shady or no shit like that, why did they have so much food for just because honestly this looked like it was just a cast event, right? Because you had Ms. Nell there, you had Letitia, you had Kimmy, you had Stormy, Melody, and Stormy, Kimmy, Melody, Letitia, Ms. Nell, and Tiffany. Like, it literally looked like it was just an all cast event, you guys. And again, that's no shade, but I'm just kind of confused why they had so much food. You did have some people in the background, and I was looking at them, and I was like, again, it also make you wonder, do Tiffany have any friends? And again, that ain't no shade to Tiffany. It's just what I noticed. Got to keep it a buck with you. Just what I noticed, right? So, when Tisha got there, you know, she noticed that everybody was so quiet. So she's asking the ladies, like, you know, have y'all been here long? Like, what's going on? Because y'all all look kind of bored, right? And so Kimmy said to, you know, Letitia that we were just recently talking about you and the expo. And I was like, oh my God, can we please drop this expo? Were there some issues with the expo? Absolutely. I'm not going to sit here and say that the expo went off without a hitch, because I don't think it did. That's my personal opinions. If you guys agree or disagree, then you guys are really entitled to feel however you want to feel. But I don't think that the expo went off without a hitch. I really, truly don't, right? So Tisha didn't want to hear anything about the expo, and that's her prerogative as well. If you don't want to hear nothing about the expo, that's fine. So she don't want to hear any, you know, I know at one point Ms. Nell was asking about the $100, and she was talking to Stormy, and Stormy looked at Tisha like, you want to talk about it? And Tisha said no. And so Ms. Nell was like, well, I didn't ask Letitia, I asked you, Stormy. And what I will say when it comes to Ms. Nell is I really honestly do feel like Ms. Nell was literally looking for a moment. And you guys, again, like I said, feel free to agree or disagree with me. I don't have a problem with that. Those are my opinions. I do think that Ms. Nell wanted a moment. That's just what I feel. You guys, again, we can agree to disagree, right? So let's pause here and move forward, you guys. So sticking with this situation. So at one point, now see, I got to call Tisha out, right? Because if you gave Ms. Nell a formal invitation to the expo, then why did you say that you put the flyer up on the webs on your Instagram? Like, if you give me a personal invitation somewhere, and then let's just say you change the venue, you change something about it, right? I'm not looking on your Instagram to find out anything about that, especially if we have a, you know, a relationship where you felt comfortable enough to talk to me about it and invite me, right? Via, you know, word of mouth, your mouth, right? But yeah, I felt the way about that part, right? And even Kimmy kind of clocked it, right? So I do feel a way about, I did understand Ms. Nell in that respect. So honestly, here's my thing when it comes to the Black Business Expo, right? The thing that I will say about the Expo is the fact that I feel like Ms. Nail and also Letitia, I feel like those two may have put 20 on 10 when it came down to the situation, right? Because from what we saw in the season, it appeared that and these are my personal opinions, from what I saw, it looked as if this was actually in the beginning, it was all about the core six, because every meeting that they had, it was Marsau, Letitia, Martell, Maurice, Kimmy, and Melody. It was the core six, so there was never any mention of Stormy, Ms. Nell, Chris Fletcher, or even Tiffany, right? So these auxiliary four were never mentioned. It was always the core six or the comeback group, right? So I don't really understand 100% how they're feeling the way that they feel, because, like I said, going back to what I just said, y'all were never mentioned that. Y'all were never at all mentioned. I think the only reason why Stormy came in is because at the end of it, which they knew it from the jump that Melody didn't want to be a part of it, but that's what it is. Melody never wanted to be a part of it. Never wanted to be a part of it because of her ex-husband. So what are we arguing about? Like, I was thoroughly confused. But you guys can let me know what you think. But I was just thoroughly confused, to be quite honest with you guys. So the ladies did eventually meet Ace, because at one point Tiffany had to go off to feed him, right? Because he was fussing, right? So the ladies met Ace, and they were still once again talking about this damn Expo, and I was like, oh my God, can we literally drop the Expo? So I do like the fact that Kimmy was like, maybe we should all sit down as a group and collectively talk, right? And so when she said that, what she meant was like, sit down, talk to Letitia and to Marsau, and give them the constructive feedback and the criticism, in a positive way. And I was like, okay, that works. Letitia, I will say, Letitia was being a bit defensive, and for me, it was very off-putting how defensive she was. I did not like it, but you guys, again, we can agree to disagree. If you guys like it, that's you, right? And I do want to also say that I did like the fact that with the ladies, that, now, although the fact that, Stormy kept saying that Marsau was a bitch, I was like, girl. And I'm looking at Tisha like, you just gonna let her keep calling your husband a bitch in your presence? Okay. I mean, I guess if you like it, I love it. But I was actually with Ms. Nell. Like, Ms. Nell was like, if she called Chris a bitch, then she would be getting all the shade from me. I was like, exactly, girl. You're not gonna sit here and call my husband or wife a bitch. Well, if I was Letitia, I'm like, girl, you're not gonna sit here and call my husband no bitch. But I love the fact that they all said that the issue was with Marsau, and none of them, even Mel, did not want to put it on Letitia. I did like that part, right? So the next thing we got was Kimmy and Maurice, right? So they were at their office space, and I was looking at that office space, and this is no shade to, Maurice, Kimmy, or Micah, right? But I was looking at that office space, and they were talking about being open by the 1st of the month, and I was like, what day is it today in this scene? Because the first, if the first is in a few weeks, I don't care. Even if it is 4 weeks, even if it is a full month, y'all got a lot to do, and y'all have a lot of stuff that's missing too. But hey, if y'all feel like y'all can be open by the 1st of the month, good luck to you. I don't see it. So Kimmy told Maurice about what happened at the baby reveal, right? And the stuff that, was said about people not paying the $100 when, in fact, they paid the $100. So Maurice was like, so did Tisha, agree to that? And, Kimmy was like, well, she really didn't say anything. It was more so Nell. So Maurice is kind of trying to say, well, it could be like a situation where it's not necessarily hearsay, but it is, you said, it's not coming directly from the horse's mouth, right? I was like, okay, Maurice, you're going to defend your brother, right? You're going to defend your brother. I get it. I don't care, right? So, Kimmy did tell him about what she suggested, that they all sit down together and basically discuss, their criticism, good, bad, ugly, and indifferent of the Expo. Lord, can we please be done with this Expo? I am so over this Expo. Like, you guys, I promise you, I'm tired of hearing about this Expo. Let's pause here, you guys, and let's move forward. All right, you guys, so the next thing that I'm going to talk about, I will have to say that I didn't necessarily like this scene. I think this scene kind of shows the negative side about Melody, right? Because she sat down with Miss Nell and they started talking about Letitia, and I really did not like this scene because it just, from my personal opinion, so to the millimeters, if you see this, suck up your feelings because I don't give a fuck. So, because it just came off very fake. It really came off fake. Because it felt to me, my personal opinions, once again, I don't give a fuck how you feel. Let me say that one more time, loudly and clearly. And let me take this microphone off and say it into the microphone. I, JB, don't give a fuck what the millimeters think about this scene and my thoughts and opinions. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a F-U-C-K. Hear me loud and clear. I don't care. I said what I said. I ain't changing it. I'm sticking with what I say. So they were talking about Letitia and Marsau, right? And, talking about how Nell and Chris support Black. But again, like I said, this whole Expo thing, it was never supposed to be anybody but the core six. That was all that it was pitched to the core six. It wasn't pitched to anybody auxiliary. Let's remember that, right? So, Stormy was a last minute addition to it, right? So, like I said, this scene with Miss Nell and Mel, it just really was a little fake and phony to me because, it was the shadiness that I got from Mel. It's like, oh my God, Mel, like, if you feel that Miss Nell has an issue with Letitia, let her have the issue with her, right? Like, if me and a person are in a good space, I'm not going to go out of my way to, because it felt like Mel was kicking up some mess and dust when it comes to Letitia and Miss Nell. And I'm like, you know what? This is how mess gets started, right? This is how shit gets started when people see stuff like this, like, oh, so you was talking to her about me, like, what was the purpose of that? Like, me and you were cool. Like, why? I'm not going to spend too much time on this thing because, again, like I said, I didn't give a fuck. But I did see that it was a little messy to me, right? So the next thing that I'm going to talk about is Kiki, right? So we see Kiki, and she is with her husband. And you guys, I'm going to have to say it. And if anybody gets upset about it, it is what it is, right? Do I think that Kiki is back on drugs? Not necessarily, but she does have some things that just makes you wonder, because you guys know I actually know this firsthand, you guys. My mom used to work for a lady who was addicted to hydrocodone, right? And the lady, she would get her medication, right? It was supposed to last her 30 days. The medication was gone before the 30 days was up. And she would be calling to her doctor trying to get a new prescription. The doctors did not want to give her a prescription, but they would eventually write her a prescription for it to last her, but it never would last her, right? Because she was an older lady and they were afraid that, trying to get her off of it, it would cause more harm than it would, right? And then she would also get to the points where she would hurt her. She would do things to go to the hospital. Like, she was in the hospital so many times during the time that my mom worked for her. She was in the hospital a lot, and they would give her the medicine, right? Because what she would do was, whenever her doctor would be firm on, no, I've already given you 2 prescriptions in this month, I'm not doing it again, right? She would find a way to go to the hospital. so that way she can get the drugs. And I'm not saying that that's what Kiki's doing, but I've saw this so many times. I've saw this before, and I know how it is. You know, Kiki is talking about she was sick, and that's why she wasn't able to make it to, you know, the baby reveal, right? And so she just wants the doctor to figure out what's wrong with her. But her husband is wondering if this is the methadone, right? And it could possibly be the methadone, right? But the thing that I noticed in this scene with Kiki was Kiki had something that she was fanning herself. Now, it could be a few things, right? She could either be going through menopause, but I think Kiki is fairly young to be going through menopause, or she could be going through withdrawals. Whatever it is, I wish her nothing but the best. But looking at that scene, like I said, you guys, it just gave me a little thing, something to be alarmed about, right? So the last scene of the episode, you guys, let's pause here and wrap up. All right, you guys, so this episode, it ended with Melody and Marsau. They sat down, right? And what I will say is, just to be 100% honest, I did not like the way that Marsau was talking to Melody, right? Marsau was being dismissive, and he was definitely 100% diminishing her business. Okay, so what? She got a shirt business, right? The woman has done other things, like, so let's not downplay and diminish it just because she has a shirt business. What does that mean? Don't your wife sell shirts? I'm not trying to be funny or shady, but don't your wife sell shirts? Didn't she have a shirt called Team Wife at one point? So do you feel the same way about Letitia that you feel about Mel? Just asking a question. I'm just asking a legit question. Like, he's talking about he doesn't have a respect for e-commerce, but you're in e-commerce, so what are you talking about, sir? Like, Marsau wants to be the smartest nigga in the room, and it is so infuriating, and it is so irritating as hell, right? But that was the episode, you guys. Let me know what you guys think and feel about this episode down in the comment section below, you guys. Subscribe to the channel, turn your post notifications on, you guys. Share the video, and until next time, stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves, you guys. Wash your hands. Be blessed, and I'll see you guys in the next one, you guys.